Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we are live with a very special guest, author AK Landow. AK is a spicy rom-com author. She is a recovering attorney living outside of the Philadelphia area with her husband, whom she secretly pined for through her teen years, 3 crazy hormonal daughters, and multiple animals. She enjoys reading, now writing, drinking copious amounts of vodka, and laughing. Having discovered there's no other need in the world for funny perverts, she's thrilled to have this new avenue to channel her age-inappropriate sense of humor. She published the first 4 books in the City of Sisterly Love series in 2022, with the final full length and a few novellas added, having been published in 2023. She initially wrote the first book, Night, because it pisses her off that there are no FMCs over the age of 40.
Hallelujah.
She wrote it as an FU to the romance community to let them know that oldies still get it on. She fell so madly in love with both being an author and her fictitious family, she can't seem to stop writing. The entire series centers around a group of strong, intelligent, confident, and supportive women. The central family is known for severe cases of oversharing and walking in on each other. Hilarity often ensues. The Bells of Broad Street series debut in 2023 with conflicting ventures. Her writing is known for laughs, tears, and being one-handed reads. Welcome
Great
to the
intro.
podcast.
Okay,
Sign
me
up.
let's
Sign
be
you.
best friends.
Yes.
Like, you just sold me on wanting to hang out with you. Like, that was the best intro ever.
Right? If anybody fits in with us and like how we work, how our minds work and our sense of humor, like that described it perfectly.
Oh my gosh, the one-handed reads. I love
I
it.
know, right?
That's goals. If a reviewer calls it a one-handed read, that's like the greatest thing they can say about your work.
The highest form of praise, right?
It is.
So tell us a little bit about how you decided or realized that you wanted to become an author. How did you follow that dream?
So are you familiar with the Signets group at all? Have you heard that?
No.
So
I've heard that,
during
but I couldn't tell you what it was.
so a Signet is a baby swan. In 2020, during the heavy quarantine period of COVID, TL Swan started a Signets group, hence baby swans, where she just every few weeks posted videos for anyone that wanted to join. It's a private group and she has to accept you, but for, it's usually people that follow her on her other social media. They seem to vet that appropriately. And she started posting videos of her process, from plotting, your characters to outlining your chapters, all of it. She just started from the beginning and started going through. And I joined the group and I never watched them. But I had it in the back of my mind that I was going to, because the story from Night is a story that bounced around in my head for years, but I never, I was a lawyer. There's no creative writing. It's very fact-based writing. It's completely different. It's never a creative writer in my life. And then January of last year, 2020, I said, you know what? I'm just going to sit down for like a week straight and watch all of these videos straight through. And at the end of the day, what it was a kick in the ass to people like me who had this story and really just didn't know how to get started. And you would be surprised at how many writers of the last 3 years have come from that group. I mean, some are extremely successful. And some people know about it and some don't. And some are gung-ho about supporting the Signets group. But there have been a lot of truly successful authors that have come out of it. I mean, we're talking thousands of books have come from TL Swan's group.
That's amazing.
She had a meetup. She actually had a meetup at Rare for anyone that was there in person and virtually. And she's going to do it at Readers Take Denver next year, which I
see. Now I want to join that because my design company is going to be at Readers Take Denver. So that would be cool.
This all goes back to TL Swan. I would not have had the gusto to do it if she wasn't like, just sit down and write a piece of shit. Okay. Everybody's first draft is a piece of shit. That's a very liberating thing, right?
Yeah, right.
No eyes have to see it until you are ready for a second pair of eyes to see it. That was like you know what? Right. The first draft is going to be shit. Your first draft of anything is shit. So let's, just get it down, and you keep redrafting and redrafting. And look, my process has changed. I've grown, I've written, 11 books since then. I've gotten better, and I read the first book or two, and maybe I'll go back one day and rewrite them. But look, I've seen T.L. Swan has taken down some of her books and rewritten them. I'm not alone in that. And the nice thing that's also spawned from this Signets group is we now, the published authors, have our own group where we kind of share best practices and mistakes, and which I somehow managed to not know existed until my third book. It would have been so helpful to know that 3 books earlier. So helpful. So many mistakes I could have avoided. But now we just all help and support each other, which is also kind of a central theme in my books about women supporting women. So I love that it's in my fictitious world, and now it's also my real world.
Seriously,
I never have female villains even in my books. Occasionally a slight antagonist, but there's never the backstabbing co-employee or the evil mother-in-law or the evil ex-wife. Doesn't happen in my books.
Good, that's refreshing.
I don't like that messaging. I feel like it's always there. Like you connotate the ex-wife and mother-in-law negative, right?
Right.
My 5th book is about the ex-wife of the male character in my first book. Because nobody was like, people were like, oh, I hated her. I was like, why? I never gave you a reason to hate
Just
her.
because
That's
it's
her
that
title.
ex-wife.
Yeah.
She's the ex-wife. I was like, yeah, that's why I'm telling her story, not the person whose story you all thought I was going to tell. And now they love her. Right.
Oh, that's great.
So that's important to me, that messaging about women, empowering women. And that's kind of what our Signets group does for each other now too. So that was a very long-winded answer for how to
great.
get started.
Fantastic. I love it.
Well, and going along that same line of thinking of women, right? One of your big motivations in your bio talks about the age of protagonists, right? And you wanted to see women over 40. And like, we get excited when the main female character is in her 20s instead of 19.
Oh my God,
right?
stop writing 19-year-old virgin. God.
I have a 19-year-old. That's a tough one for me.
I know, but seriously, like, I don't feel like I ever even really got horny until I was 35.
Well, I got horny way earlier than 35, but
I mean, that's what I got.
I've bounced around, not as young as you mentioned, but I've bounced around because as you mentioned, I kind of fell in love with my fictitious family. So I wrote her and her daughters and her best friend and the ex-wife. And then I started getting into more of the side characters. So I've had now characters in their 50s and their 20s. Like, it's kind of bounced back and forth between that. But yeah, so, half my books are older characters.
Did that stem from, and maybe this is kind of asking 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but was that coming from a place of wanting to see yourself more in a character in books? Or was it more like, oh, I want to write this type of story and I see a gap here, kind of writing to market more sort of thinking? I don't know if that makes any sense.
My thought process was, and I actually listened to that part of your Emily Rath interview, and has a way more cerebral approach to this than I did.
So smart.
For
we
sure.
were all like, oh my.
She's super smart. Very impressive. But we're also at totally different places in our life. She's still discovering things about herself.
Yeah.
Whereas, I've been with my husband for 26 years. As we know, I also pined after him as a teen. I have 3 daughters entering adulthood, totally different places in life. But no, it wasn't to write to market. It was, I'm an against the grain person.
Yeah.
I just am. It comes out in my writing, comes out in my life. God bless my husband. It comes out everywhere. And it didn't exist. That is a gap in the market, but I didn't think of it as like a strategy. It was more of like what I said, like, F you. Why is it like unacceptable? Why is it always like college aged or young 20s or virginal girls? Like, why is it acceptable that in a second chance type book for the male to be sexually active in between, but we don't actually accept the female, right?
Yeah.
Like, my books don't play that, like, I have a book where the male waited for her and she did not wait for him, that's not normal. That's not right. Women are as sexually active as men, when they're not in a committed relationship, especially, they can do their own thing as well. So it's really just me constantly wanting to go against the grain, which is probably a terrible marketing strategy. But
I
think,
disagree.
I think it's great.
very
I'm already
refreshing.
sold.
Right,
I'm
very
hearing a
refreshing.
lot of righteous feminine rage and
I
topple the patriarchy. I'm into it.
I'm not like filled with rage as much as let's show some people just something different. Like,
I
you
think
know,
show
we need to
reality.
normalize women enjoying intimacy and sex, right? And
Right.
I think
and
I've said
talking
this a
about
million
it, like
times.
the oversharing is a huge part. Like,
Right.
they're known for these oversharing dinners. So people look forward to those 2 or 3 scenes in each book where it is like severe oversharing, which
You should overshare at every
admittedly
dinner.
Yes,
comes
we do.
from my real life. My daughters overshare.
Yeah.
I overshare. My husband sits through half our family dinners like this. La, 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 la. No, I did not hear that.
That's hilarious.
Because I kind of raised my daughters to feel comfortable talking about it.
Sure.
So those are, scenes like so many reviews are always like, and of course the oversharing scenes are my family dinners are my favorite. And they've gotten more outrageous as the books have gone on, as I continue to dig for material. Like, what else could this family
Sure.
possibly share?
That is so great. I want to go backwards just a little bit to where you mentioned secretly pining after your now husband. I would love to hear a little more about that because I did that. I was such a creeper with my husband when we were in college. He had no idea that I even existed for a little while, but I would love to hear more about that. And if that shows up in your writing at all, is that kind of a trope that you use in your writing, or is that just your special relationship with your husband just for you two?
No, I don't. I don't write much of that secret pining. He's older, and I need to preface this by saying there was nothing physical until I was of age. I was actually 20, so nothing. I want to be super clear. We are 6 years apart. And when I was a young
like
teen,
20, so
when I was a young teen, I saw him. And he worked at a camp where I was a camper, and I just thought he was the cutest boy I ever saw in my life. He knew who I was because I was a good athlete. I actually ended up being a college athlete, and so he knew who I was, and I was like, cute girl who chased him around. And our paths crossed a few times at that camp, and then I didn't see him from the time I was 16 to 20. And then this is how long ago it was. This is when emails first started. So we're in the mid 90s, and you're getting your first email accounts. And somebody forwarded an email with my name, and he asked if it was me or my brother because we have the same first initial. Because he was my brother's counselor and his sister was my counselor. And I'm making this very long story as short as I can. And he emailed me, and I grew up in the DC area, and he grew up in the Philadelphia area. But I was up here for college, and he asked if he could take me out to dinner, and we've been together since.
Oh, I love that.
That's a great
amazing.
story.
I thought you were gonna say he remembered you because you were like precocious. You were the kid that was like, hey.
Well,
hey.
for a second, I thought that was going to go in a completely different direction. Somebody in my family, not really similar, but the age gap is a little similar. He is a high school teacher and married a former student, and it was big it was big drama. And that's where I thought you were going. I was going to be like, I know somebody that happened to.
No. He knew who I was because he had like a little bit of a relationship with, my brother.
Right.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And you said you were an athlete. Yeah.
And I was
And
an athlete.
it's
and
consensual.
he was a good
and
athlete.
Yeah. Who cares?
That's a great little rom-com love story, though. I love that.
Yeah,
I would love that.
People have told me I should write that story, but
that's what I was just thinking. That would be a great novel, but then it would be, like a 19-year-old main character.
I've embarrassed him enough.
That just ruins the whole thing, doesn't it?
So we're going to go into our nerdy and dirty speed round, and we're going to give you, or I'm going to give you some prompts, and I just want you to answer with the first thing that pops into your mind. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to go off script of what we sent you because I'm dying to know. What is your favorite
I actually didn't read it because I wanted to come in natural.
Okay, great. So what is your favorite one-handed read?
Devoted Protector by Jade Dalston.
Okay, I'm going to go add it.
I don't know that one.
What's the last song you listened to?
I am a huge 90s boy band fan. It was definitely NSYNC in my car because that's always on.
They might be getting back together, by the way.
Justin will never get back together.
No, I don't. Yeah, why would he? Right?
Well,
he has
Go
no
get
reason.
someone else with a curly-haired blonde kid to like sit in. What fictional character do you have a crush on?
There's a lot. Certainly Cameron Stanton from Dr. Stanton, T.L. Swan's book. Waylon Hanford is from Devoted Protector. He's 6'8", muscular cinnamon roll. Gotta love that guy. Obviously all of my fictitious characters have to fall into that.
Okay. And is there a book series that you always recommend?
I love Max Monroe's Billionaire Boys Club series.
Oh, yeah.
Those are hysterical. That's kind of where probably my love of rom-coms came from. I'll go back to Jade Dalston's Fierce Protector series. Devoted Protector is one of those books. That's a fantastic series. Any series written by Jabon Davis. She's fantastic. She's amazing. And she writes all different kinds of books. I bow to her. That's
impressive.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so impressive.
And it's impressive that they're great enough that the publisher, trusts her with that, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go in a different direction and we're just going to trust that. That's great.
Yeah.
What TV series should everyone watch?
I used to be such a TV watcher until I started writing. I barely watched, but I think Yellowstone, Beth in Yellowstone is the greatest fictional character ever created. I've had people call me and say, "Are you familiar with Beth from Yellowstone?"
Yeah.
She is a badass.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple calls. They're like, "I don't know who I'm more scared of, you or Beth." I'm like, I'm just happy to be in the conversation.
What is a food you refuse to eat?
Olives. Can't do it.
What paranormal power would you want to have?
Can I cure disease? Is that
Healer.
Sure,
That would be a
that.
great one. Please come to my house first. Some aches and pains I can have you take care of.
right?
What is your favorite weekend activity?
Well, we are a very heavy softball family. I played in college. My oldest plays in college. My youngest is looking like she's going to play in college. So that is what we do. That is what we love. So
I
definitely
love
softball.
I want to join a beer league so bad, but I don't want to play at 9:00 at night. I'm like, what about a 5 p.m. beer league that I have to Uber home from? Why can't we do that?
It should be a happy hour.
I know, right? Yeah. Or a beer kickball league. I'd be cool with that
Oh,
too.
I would totally be down with that.
I think we can start an our nerdiest thing beer kickball league because we know all of our listeners who are introverted readers when it comes to that.
I don't know if we have the demographics for that.
Okay, smut or plot?
Am I allowed a combo?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I
Absolutely.
like a combo for sure. This smut should complement the plot, not be in lieu of plot.
Right.
It has to have purpose.
Right. What is your favorite childhood book?
Ugh. The Giving Tree. I feel like that
Oh,
gets
yeah.
nobody mentions that book anymore. I never hear about it. The Giving Tree is there's different messages in that book at different stages of life. I think it's a great book.
For sure.
Mhm.
What is the last book that you finished and loved?
Well, I'm going to sound like the Jade Dolston promotional network here, but I just beta read her upcoming book, Disgruntled Protector, and it's amazing.
Oh, I can't wait. When does it come out? Do you know?
About a week and a half from now.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, okay.
Cool. Very soon. And final question in the speed round, cake or pie?
I mean, it depends on the flavors, but probably pie. It's a
Correct.
blueberry, especially.
And blueberry pie. That's one of your.
Cherry's my favorite, but
Yeah,
I'll
that's
do
okay,
I'll
too.
do a good blueberry pie.
Good.
So next we're going to move on to a segment we call 3 tough questions, and these are all writing related. So get your writer's hat on. What is a scene that you edited out of one of your books that you really, really wish you could have kept in?
I don't know that I've done that. I've really only edited out probably 2 scenes
Oh, really?
in any of my writing, and I don't regret it. There's just
I'm
one
sure. I
book
love
that
that.
I wrote 3 different endings and was trying to feel which way I wanted to go, and ultimately I feel like I went the right way. And after my betas read it, I said, I also wrote it these 2 ways. Do you want to see it that way? And no,
You're like, nope, it's perfect.
this was the right way.
I love
So
that.
no,
Awesome.
I don't feel that way.
Good deal.
No regrets. I like it.
What is a super specific detail about one of your characters that doesn't affect the story at all, but just really, really makes you love them?
I like the 6'8" guy.
I
personally,
know.
but-
Tell us some stuff about him.
I can talk about that. I have the book in the other room. I can pull it out for you. Sorry, repeat the question. We got sidetracked.
Sorry.
What is a super specific detail about one of your characters that that makes you really love them, but doesn't necessarily affect the story?
I think all of my male characters have a certain amount of respect for women, because while I have 1 or 2 alpha holes, they all respect women and their careers. And in some of them, it is plot important, but in some of them it's not. And it just makes them the kind of person that they are, and the kind of person that woman fell in love with, but it's not necessarily entirely plot important. But that underlying respect is there. As I
love
think
that.
we've established, that's important to me.
Well, I think it's important to a lot of women. What is a writing ritual that you have that might be different from some other authors?
I don't write in order. I don't write in
not
chapter
do that.
order. So I write a prologue. I always write, I write the prologue immediately, and then I write the first sex scene, where I don't even know where it's going to fall yet. But to me, that establishes their like chemistry
Mhm.
that I want to build towards. So, and it's always their first. If it, well, a lot of times I have their first in the prologue, but their first after the prologue, time being together. I just feel like it really helps me know what their chemistry is as I build towards it. Because I don't write thorough outlines like I did for my first book anymore. I'm like a mood writer. If I'm feeling silly, I write the funny scenes. If I'm sad, I write the angsty scenes. If I'm horny, I write the sex scenes. I kind of write, I'm like a mood writer. But I have not heard of anybody else that does that. Anytime I tell other authors that, they're like, what? That's so
Do you
weird.
have a way that you keep it organized?
I have a notebook but I put big spaces in between because I know
You're going to
it's
fill it
gonna
in.
change.
Yeah.
And I still have that moment when I'm in the first, 25,000 words of a book where I freak out. I'm like, okay, my writing is over. Like I've reached the end of my brain and my career is over. You know what? It's been great. I put out a lot of books. I don't know where this is headed. And so I just keep writing as things that come to me, and then I slot them in where they belong. I know it's not the normal way. Like some writers are so strict about their outlines and following them. And I did do that for my first book, but I've never done it again since.
I
It's
love
just my
that people, I
process.
love that you found your style, and even
Yeah.
though it's different, you embrace it, and it's,
I try not to freak out anymore, because like there are certain books where I've been like, I won't write anything better than this. I should just stop.
oh,
And then, I push forward and, surprise myself each time. It makes me happy.
cool. Very cool. Okay, well, now we're going to move on to 4 random questions. These are a little less serious, but just as important. So, what is your astrological sign, and how do you relate to the tendencies of that sign?
I'm a Capricorn, but I don't actually even know anything. I'm not an astrologer.
I've been waiting
um,
for a author to say that.
What's funny is I'm also a Capricorn, and every single time we've asked this question, I've been like, I wouldn't be able to answer this because I don't know what the
So
tendencies are.
Capricorns don't
I
care
think
if
they're
it's
strong-willed.
telling me.
Maybe that's our
Strong-willed? Is
I
that a
don't
thing?
know.
I think they
I
are.
am strong-willed, but I wonder if that's one of our tendencies. To
I
just be
think
like,
it
I don't
is,
know.
but I don't
know.
know. I actually am not into that at all. I don't follow that at all. But I'm a
Neither do
Capricorn.
I. Maybe that's our
That's-
tendency.
Our thing
Y'all
is that
just
we
figured
don't
it
give a
out.
crap about this astrological
Oh,
sign.
that's so great.
That's awesome. Is there a scene from any book that makes you blush?
Oh, that's hard to do.
I don't think we can ask this of romance writers anymore.
No, I think
Yeah.
They're like,
so.
no?
They're like, no, I write it. Like,
Well, I'll give you a general answer, and then I will give you a specific answer. So the general answer is somehow my books have also become known for at least like one outrageous location that they have sex in each book. So now, like I've had author friends say to me, I don't even have anywhere cool left to have my characters have sex because you keep taking all of them. Like, and I've come up with some crazy crap in each book. I'm like, where else could they possibly do it? And I keep managing to come up with some new and creative places. The scene that it's a true story of a friend of mine. And I actually got her to come on a TikTok live with me to talk about it. She did not have her first orgasm until after 50, and she learned she's a squirter. And,
oh,
and she thought she was peeing her pants. And she got so sick of changing the sheets that she went and got the puppy pads from her laundry room. And that story friggin' took off in one of my books. And I was like, you have to come on a TikTok live. She's like, no, it's embarrassing. I was like, nobody knows you on there, like in the
Not the
my
puppy
author
pads.
universe.
well, now
Nobody
they
knows
do.
And she was hysterical. She was
That's
on. She was
really
like,
great.
I'm
Too
glad
I'm
she
thinking
found her
about like
space.
designer puppy. I'm thinking about designer puppy pads, like Gucci, that you can put in your purse and take with you on a blind date because you never know when you're gonna.
You
need a
never
puppy
know.
pad.
You never know, right?
Printed ones with penises.
So it was actually one of the friends of the female main character, and that book there was a lot of like girls' lunches where they're talking about their dates that
Oh,
they
that's
went
so
on over the
funny.
weekend, and that story comes out, and they're all dying. So I'm doing a charity anthology in January for breast cancer research, and I decided to write her story, like what actually went down that night.
Oh, too
That's pretty fantastic.
That's great. Oh my
So
goodness.
because
you
it's
like to
just-
make
It's
people.
her telling them at lunch, but now we actually get to see what went down that night.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, I like what you said, Deb. You actually are the one that makes people blush.
That's right.
So we know you don't believe in astrology, but do you believe in ghosts? And have you ever experienced any paranormal activity?
No,
Yeah, see, you're
I'm
practical.
a realist.
Yep.
She's
yep,
a
you are.
recovering lawyer. She, you know what I mean? She's
Right.
a practical thinker.
So
I'm a
no
realist.
zombie apocalypse plan, or is that a
No zombie apocalypse plan. I think I did a Savannah, Georgia ghost tour once. That's about as close as I've ever come to anything like that. Sorry.
Well,
No, that's great.
so you just said that you're writing the anthology next. or in January, but can you tell us what other writing projects you have coming up?
Well, I have a book coming out next week. It's the third book in my current series. My current series ended up being a spin-off of my first series because I couldn't manage to tear myself away from my characters. My feeling, I probably, from a marketing perspective, it would have been smarter to start fresh. But at the end of the day, I write because it makes me happy.
Right.
And I love these people and I want them in my life. I'm being smarter in that they're true standalones now.
I was about to ask if you could pick this
You
one
know,
up.
I have family trees at the beginning
Mhm.
and, I explain things at the beginning. And so I've done a better job of making them standalones. And this second series they're all, easily standalones.
And what's the title of the one coming out?
It is Unexpected Ventures. So each book in the series, the second word is ventures. So it was conflicting ventures, indecent ventures, unexpected ventures, and the fourth one will be enchanted ventures.
And I know that we're going to see you at Less Than the Low Country really soon. Will you have copies of that book and then the rest of the books in your series too for people to purchase?
I will be. I actually moved up the release date to make sure that I would have it for that. So that's why that's why it'll be out next week.
So besides Less Than the Low Country, are there any other events or book festivals you're doing in the next year?
Sure. So the week before Lust, I am doing Hot and Steamy in New Orleans.
Fun.
And then next year, so far, I have Flirty in Kansas City, Readers Take Denver, Dreaming Dirty in Maryland. And this airs in October, right? So I can say I'm going to be at Wanderlust because that's not going to be public till for another 2 weeks. But by the time we hear this, Wanderlust. I have one other, and then I have a couple booked already for 2025.
Oh, wow.
I am loving these names of these
I was just
romance
saying
cons.
the same thing. Yeah.
I kept thinking 13 going on 30, 30, flirty and thriving. So where do you prefer that readers purchase your books? Do you like them to purchase straight from you or from Amazon? What works best for you?
I mean, the way people ask me kindly enough, say to me, what's the most financially advantageous way?
Mhm.
So I think, I end up giving a lot of swag in my signed paperback, so I don't know if that ends up being the most financially advantageous, but I would say signed paperbacks from my website, then paperbacks from Amazon, then the ebook from Amazon, and then KU.
Okay.
KU is definitely the worst for authors, but that's
Yeah.
where most of their income comes from. So
Right. So where can our listeners find you online?
well, it's aklandowauthor.com. And then certainly if you just type my name, AK Landow, in Goodreads or Amazon, it pops right up.
And is that the same handle for TikTok and Instagram as well?
There are various iterations. It depends on availability. The underscore might be moved, or I may have had my first TikTok account banned, so I had to start a new one.
Was it because of the squirting story?
It was nuts.
So one way we always end our episodes is, our podcast is called Our Nerdiest Thing. So we like to talk about our nerdiest thing of the week. So it can be something that we experienced, something we read, watched, really anything in your life. So we would love to hear what your nerdiest thing of the week might be.
Nerdiest thing. The nerdiest thing I endure is hearing my college age daughter talk about her science classes.
That is so cute.
She is a biology major and wants to go to medical school, and her talking to me about the specifics of her science classes, it makes my brain explode.
That is
that is
awesome.
absolutely the nerdiest thing I do all week.
I love that. That's so great.
That's great.
But is this the one that's an athlete too, or is this your
Yes.
more okay? So she's very academic and athletic.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us and chatting with us today. We're really excited to meet you in person. You will definitely see all of our faces, I'm sure, at your table.
Sounds good.
We're ready,
Well,
ready
and
to get that book.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, as a vivacious vodka lover, we need to grab drinks with you while
For
we're
sure.
in Charleston.
I will probably have Tito's under the table.
Well, we'll
when-
definitely be at your table.
I'm trying to figure out if in New Orleans I'm allowed to actually have shots at my table, because if you're allowed it anywhere, it'll be New Orleans.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Susie and Kelly are pretty fun though at Lit. So I bet if you ask them, they would make it happen for you.
Or I prefer to ask for forgiveness over permission. My general mantra in life.
Not permission.
Exactly.
I love that. That's the Capricorn in you. I'm proud of
Like,
you.
yes, that must be the Capricorn.
You're gonna make up your own Capricorn.
Yeah.
You never asked for not permission in your entire life. So that would not be the case. You're like, can I sit here? You sit there every week.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you in person. Thank you so much. It's been
Yeah,
really,
thank
really
you for
fun to
having
talk
me.
to you.